Let's kick off with Limelight with Masuma, where she invites a special guest from our community. Let's meet her.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Limelight with Masuma. I'm your hostess, Masuma Papia. Limelight with Masuma is a TV show focused on promoting and highlighting business owners, professionals, upcoming trends, and key social issues. Above all, it's a show about people from different walks of life sharing their experience, their passion, views, and expertise with us. Life is a beautiful adventure. We go through so many ups and downs that makes us who we are. My guest today is someone who portrays all that life has to offer. She's a well-known author of her memoir, The Fractured Life, a coach, a social media trainer, and the founder of Panchkini Writers Retreat. Her writings have been published online many times, and she's also the host of our very famous TV show, Dewdrops and Words, actually on our very own GTV. So the more I talk about her, there's so much more to learn. So let me introduce to you Shabnam Samuel. Shabnam, thank you so much for coming. I'm just super excited you're able to make it.
Thank you for having me.
There's so much to talk about, Shabnam. Now, you're a very famous personality in this area. As I was Googling you, I had to, I've learned so much of you. But just for our viewers, tell us a little bit about your background.
Background in the sense of education, I have a master's degree in advertising and public relations.
Okay.
That was in India.
Okay.
Marketing is my passion.
I get it. Okay.
And so whatever I do, there's some form of marketing that comes into play.
Sure.
Be it issues, you talk about them, that's marketing.
Right.
Be it my book, I write about it, that's marketing, things that I want the world and the people to know about.
Okay.
So that's what I do. In terms of education, that's what I do.
So you do a lot of PR work then?
I do.
Somewhat, okay. Because when we first met, I remember how our conversation went so flow, and at that time I didn't know that you're in marketing. So this is great. It actually makes sense now that you're in. But what? Now you said your education was in India.
Correct.
So do you mind me asking how long have you been residing in America, or outside India, I should say?
Well, yeah, America. Outside India is just America. I came here in 1989, so I think that makes it 30 years.
A long time.
Maybe before you were born,
Yes. No.
or after you were born.
Okay, I'll take that. Though not accurate, but okay. But no, that's very interesting. And the reason I wanted to know, because you looking at your bio and reading so much about you, you're so connected to your roots, and I'm going to talk about that. So that's why I'm going to kind of just get the background for our viewers. Let's talk about the Writers Retreat. I want to get it out of the way because I have to say I've interviewed so many people. You're the first writer. So I'm nervous, excited at the same time. Tell me about this Writers Retreat.
So the Writers Retreat, which is called Panchkini Writers Retreat, came about 4.5 years ago. It's based out of India. Panchkini is a place in India and on the western coast of India.
Okay.
It's up in the mountains.
Okay.
Now it came about because America has some awesome writing retreats.
Sure.
Just Martha's Vineyard, Arizona, you name it, they have it. But to get into one of those, you'd have to sell your house, mortgage yourself, or do whatever you have to do to get in. So I wanted to create something where we could, people could afford to go to it.
Yeah.
And also, it was something about the writing community in India, which doesn't have access to many things that we living in America have.
Yes, okay.
In terms of writing, the support you get, the editors, the publishing houses. It's a very different world in India.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring some of that to India also.
Oh, wow.
And like you said, I'm very connected to my roots. When I write, I write as an Indian. Yes. I don't know if that makes sense. It's so ingrained in me that I write about things that I am from.
That you've experienced and
yes.
you grew up.
Yes. And with India, I always say you can't explain India to somebody.
No.
India has to be experienced.
Yes.
And that's the experience I want to give writers, with their words and,
Sure.
Stimulants in India are so many. You walk down the street, you see 20 different colors, 20 different kinds of people. So it's all
Different
that
languages.
different
which is-
languages.
Yeah.
So all that was one of the reasons I said, no, let's do this in India.
And it kind of shows on your writing. So and I could see that the fact that you kind of just when you talk about retreats, because I'll tell you, I'm Bengali, and so growing up with Rabindranath Tagore,
Right.
it's engraved in you that you need to be in the cultural. We almost grew up knowing, reading books all the time, which not a whole lot of practice here in America within children, I should say. So to have a retreat like that, I think it's amazing that people can look forward to, even if somebody's just wanting to become a writer, right?
Absolutely.
I think
We
that's-
have, we do workshops there.
Okay.
You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to have published something. You just have to feel that creative need to express yourself. It could
Yes.
be an artist painting something. I mean,
Sure.
the place where we have it, Panchgani, is, where you can sit and paint all day long if you want to.
or just hang out.
Just hang
which is what
out.
I would do if I went.
So that's how it came about.
That's interesting. I wanted to, and it totally skipped my mind. I wanted to ask you this question first, but never late. Sorry. The title of your book, Fracture Life. It's a very unique and interesting title. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I know, but I'm sure our viewers would like to know.
Well, I don't want to really give too much of the book away because the book comes out in September and actually pre-orders have started already. But A Fractured Life is very symbolic of the life I've lived.
Okay.
We all have fractures in our life, and how you deal with those fractures is what I write about in the book. I come from a very mixed background.
Okay.
I come from a background of European and Mediterranean heritage and Indian heritage. Even different cultures fracture you a little,
Sure.
in a good way, in a bad way. So I write about that. I write about my journey. I write about what it is being a woman, what it is being an Indian, what it is about being in a culture of silence that we Indians, sign up for when we are born. Whatever happens in the home, you don't, unless it's good, you don't go outside your walls and talk about it. I wanted to break that because there are so many voices that are not heard and they need to be heard.
It's interesting you've said that because you're absolutely right. We hear about all the accomplishment, like we're talking about India and how beautiful it is, but there's always this one side, And I'm so glad you're talking about this in your book. So I cannot wait to have this book come out. So I need an autographed copy.
Okay.
I hope that's okay. But you're right. You're right. I think there's so much goes on sometimes that we overlook, and especially us being away from. We live so far away. We're very privileged. We're very, sometimes we take things for granted. So it's always, an exciting thing to have someone like you who can bring it to light and kind of just have our focus back in a subject like that. I would love for you to come back and just talk about this particular issue with me.
I'd love
in
to.
the
I'd
next
love
show.
to. Yes, absolutely.
Shabnam, I want to talk about this women's artisan village in a local area,
In
or
India?
a rural area that
Yeah.
you have, which is also you started that. Gosh, accomplished so much.
Actually,
wanna
I
know
didn't
about
start
this.
that.
Oh, you
So,
okay?
no, I didn't start that. So the place where we have the retreat,
Okay.
actually, I need to thank my husband and his family for that. They run a 100-year-old boarding school in India.
Oh wow.
And it's on an 8 or 9 acre green campus.
Gotcha.
So my aunt-in-law, who is the chairman of the school,
Gotcha.
actually started this foundation in the neighboring villages. So what they do is, these women who are basically farmers during the day, and farming is seasonal in India, they have no other means of livelihood.
Sure.
So, and their husbands work, sometimes go out and spend all that money drinking. The women are left with the kids at home. So what my aunt-in-law did was they skilled these women. They bought them sewing machines. They gave them leftover saris, recycled material to make curtains, pillowcases, things like that. And then that would come back to the school and they would sell it in the school when parents came to drop their kids off.
Gotcha.
And so that money would go right back to them.
back
So
to
there was
them.
no investment from the village itself. So it all came from the school
very
and foundations.
interesting.
So I just thought that was amazing. So when I went back for the retreat, I ordered all our quilts and
Sure.
pillowcases and curtains all from them so that they
Yeah.
would have a means of livelihood.
And because I'm from that part of the world, I've seen these women are actually very talented. To kind of give them that limelight, it's amazing. It's not everybody gets to. So I'm glad you guys are doing
Yes,
that.
and yeah, she does an amazing job there. She just does an amazing job.
Oh my God! I hopefully one day I can go visit.
Absolutely.
Shabnam, you mentor and coach local organizations with low-income immigrants. As I was reading up on you, and I come across that, and refugee women, how to be successful, how to kind of just build a career and things like that. What made you do that? I mean, that has got to be a lot bigger step than what you've done in India. I mean, this.
True. And I got into that because first and foremost, I'm an immigrant.
Okay.
And I've gone through a struggle. I mean, I had a master's degree. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. I had a master's degree, but I couldn't find a job here when I came. My first job was at Kmart, and I don't know if Kmart exists anymore, or Toys R Us, one of the two it was. And I would think to myself every day, I have a master's degree. What am I doing? But it's that immigrant experience, then I kind of realized you need to be in this market, you need to be in this field, you need to have skills. And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody I could fall back on.
Right.
But so with this organization, when I read about them and I knew some people who were associated with them, I said, I need to mentor these women. These women have gone through, I mean, they've been, human trafficking, refugees. They need to know how to stand on their 2 feet, and they need to see somebody that they can identify with, who has also gone not a similar journey, but parallel journeys as to being an immigrant. And that's how I got into it.
Oh my gosh, you're definitely gonna have to come back, because I can't. I want to talk about this too, because it's. You're so right. When I came in, I mean, I worked at Wendy's in high school, so I know how it is. And I did have mentors, so I can't take that for granted.
Right.
But I know the struggle a lot of immigrants go to, especially women.
Right.
So to have them hear from someone like you, who speaks so well and so sympathetic to their culture and what they go through, it makes a huge difference.
Thank
oh my gosh,
you.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Any message for young women out there? I know you've got tons, but we only have a couple of minutes. So.
One thing I will say is, don't let anybody dictate who you should be. Be your authentic self. Be who you want to be. Don't let society say, no, you have to be this, or you have to do this.
Sure.
Just be yourself.
And I think that's a very important message, because we tend to fall into, social media, and we tend to judge ourselves. This is happening to someone else. Why isn't it happening to us?
Right.
So I'm glad there are coaches like you out there who
Thank
can kind of keep us in a straight line.
Thank you, Masuma.
Shabnam, thank you so much for coming.
You're so
I
welcome.
just wish we had more time to talk about, but you're going to have to come back.
I
I'm going
will,
to need you on my
definitely.
show again.
I
okay?
will. I definitely
Talk
will.
about all this women's issue. Thank you. Well, that brings us to end of this episode. I hope you liked this segment. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more related topics, or want to be on the show as a guest, please email me at limelightwithmasuma@gmail.com, or call at 703-646-0098. So until we meet again, guys, please stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy life. Thank you.